Indianapolis. One of the NBA's more impressive streaks came to an end. Golden State's Steph Curry had made a three-pointer in 268 consecutive games until yesterday. Curry went 0 for 8 against Portland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
What if Martin didn't stand up? What if Rosa didn't sit down? What if Malcolm didn't man up? Where would we be now? What if Marley didn't get up, stand up? What if Du Bois didn't come to advance us? And Mandela didn't come to teach us? Where would we be now? We are the ones we've been waiting for. We can change the world. We can change the world with our love, 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 love. 'Cause it is up to us. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We can change the world. Our love can change the world. We can change the world with our love, 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 love. Our love can change the world.
KBLA Talk 1580. Well, while we are waiting for Congresswoman Barbara Lee, let's talk. That's what we do around here. We can change the world. We are changing the world. We're changing the world with our opinions. We're changing the world with our conversations, with our information, with our hot takes, and, room temperature takes. 800-920-1580. Love to hear from you. As always, let's talk about it. I hope this isn't a sign of what's to come for Congresswoman Lee. She is currently running to be the only African-American woman senator in the United States Congress. That's, of course, because Senator Kamala Harris became vice president and Governor Gavin Newsom appointed Alex Padilla to be the replacement for Harris. Padilla is an excellent senator. Many of us were concerned that, we wanted a black woman in the Senate. Not Mr. Padilla's fault. Certainly he's done an amazing job. But we had the interim appointment of LaFonza Butler representing the state of California. Now in the election, we have Adam Schiff, who you remember, from being an impeachment manager, and quite an effective one at that. And you have Katie Porter out of Orange County, who is a bona fide progressive, someone we're sad to lose actually from Congress, because it is not a sure thing that we can fill that Orange County seat with another Democrat. So we may end up losing a Democrat. And so if she does not win that seat, it will be a setback for sure, in a sense. And then, of course, the only black woman running, Barbara Lee, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, is meant to be with us this morning. I'm not sure what happened. Hopefully she is on her way. She's trailing in the polls as far as fundraising efforts go, trailing as well. And it's not easy to become a U.S. Senator, obviously. There's only 2 from each state, which is a very anti-democratic way of doing things, but that's what we're stuck with right now. Means if you have, enough people in your state to make you bigger than most countries, like the state of California, you get 2 senators. And if you have 12 people in your state, like Montana, you also get 2 senators. So it means we don't actually have equal representation in the Senate, which is one of the reasons why it tends to be such a conservative body, right? If we had D.C. statehood, that would be 2 more senators. That would more than likely be Democrats, and more than likely have a more pro-BIPOC, pro-black kind of orientation. If Puerto Rico was a state, if it wants to be a state, again, you'd have more Latino voters, i.e. the Puerto Rican people. Puerto Rico is a state, except they're not a state. They're a commonwealth. They don't have voting rights. They can serve in our military. They can come here. They can get toilet paper rolls thrown at them by Donald Trump, but they cannot actually vote. Should that change, for example? Should the U.S. Virgin Islands, these are all places which really should have representation in the Senate, because they are paying to be part of the United States. They pay the costs. They are part of the United States in many ways, but they don't have voting power. That doesn't make sense. Meanwhile, in a true democracy, we would have proportional representation, meaning bigger states would have more senators, bigger in population would have more senators, and those tiny Rhode Island places would have fewer senators. That said, it's not like that. We're working with what we've got. We still have to live with an electoral college. We still have to live with non-democratic kind of representation in terms of the Senate, and in the Supreme Court, where people have these lifetime appointments and they can become little emperors, like little Emperor Clarence Thomas is with his 38 private jet rides and free parties and, perks. I guess you call them perks, except they should be illegal. 38 vacations is the word I was reaching for, and many other perks. These are tweaks, and they're big tweaks that we need to do to our democracy. But in the meantime, we are looking at whether or not we will be able to bring a black woman into the U.S. Senate. Barbara Lee, as I said, was meant to be here this morning, but apparently, we'll see if she's able to find her way here. In the meantime, love to hear from you. 800-920-1580, whether your name is Congresswoman Lee or Randy from Watts. It's always good and important to hear from you. The Supreme Court is going to hear a challenge to our access to the abortion pill, which is now the majority of ways that pregnancies are terminated, and it's going to decide the availability. It's so, I can't even think of the right word. It's so frustrating, I guess, that to use Vice President Kamala Harris's word, that the Supreme Court got rid of, rescinded a right that women had. We had the right to control our own bodies. We had the right to just make our own healthcare decisions. They took that right away, and what they said is that they were going to hand it over to the states. That state by state, they would make decisions about what their policies were around women's healthcare rights. And yet, the Supreme Court has just agreed to rule on the availability of the abortion pill, which is where most of the pregnancy terminations are happening. So that means it wouldn't be left up to the states, because if the Supreme Court decides something about whether the FDA's approval of the pill was lawful or whatever they decide, and that decision makes that abortion medication no longer available, that is not leaving it to the states. When they enact a federal abortion ban, that is not leaving it to the states. So it's basically what they do is they lie to us, right? They lie to us to get one level of restriction enacted, and then they go a step further and a step further, even while denying doing so. And I really hope that we, the people of this nation, particularly the women of this nation, will start to see through that and demand our own agency, and demand not let them get away with sort of gaslighting us into allowing them to get away with certain things that lead to a total restriction of our rights. We all heard the story of Kate Cox. She's a white mom from Texas. She already has kids. And she sued to have permission to make her own decision about her body because her fetus, the baby she was carrying, was not viable, had a fatal condition, would be stillborn. And having that child would endanger her life. She ended up having to go to another state. And I don't know, when she comes back, will she face charges? How does that work? But what if you're a low-income person that can't afford to go to another state? This black woman that I talked about earlier in the show, who had experienced bleeding, she herself was at risk of dying, went to the hospital, didn't get help, went back to the hospital, again, didn't get help again, went home, had a miscarriage in the privacy of her own home, and tried to flush what had come out of her body down the toilet, and now is facing criminal prosecution. And really, to me, most chilling about this, a nurse at the hospital, told authorities things about her, what she said in the hospital, and tried to make it seem like she was criminally liable, and that led authorities to her home, and where she will be charged. Wow. I thought that, I guess, patient confidentiality doesn't extend to nurses. I know they say the line with patient-client confidentiality stops at crime. So if you committed a crime, your doctor is able to report you. That seems like it will stop a lot of women from seeking the care that they need. And really, we're at that point, we're talking about women's lives being endangered. This is your grand old party. We also talked about Trump and how he's got this new old rhetoric of poisoning the blood, the old Hitler's greatest hits, about, our country being invaded by the masses of people of color. Well, it tracks with what Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are now saying. One thing they agree on. They're always fighting over who will dominate space and who will be the richest man in the world and all that. Who will get to be our technological overlord. But what they're agreeing on is that we need to have more babies. They say if we had 1 trillion human beings, there would be a much better chance that we could have 100 Mozarts at any given time. And that is so ironic to me because, number one, they're not talking about you. If you're not white, they're not talking about you. Hurry up and have more babies. I guarantee you that. Number two, are they doing anything to help feed, house, and have health care for those 1 trillion people that they're asking for? They're busy hoarding resources, not paying taxes, not participating in supporting the commons by anteing up their fair share, but they want 1 trillion people. That's the ultimate in irresponsible. Go have a bunch of white babies, but we're not going to pay for them. We're not going to build up their schools. No, we're going to advocate for a private voucher so that we can have a class stratified school system. We're not going to pay for their health care so we can have healthy, strong, vibrant children. We, as one of the richest countries in the world, and it is true. A relative of mine said to me the other day, we act like, in some ways, we're like a third world, underdeveloped nation in terms of the infrastructure of healthcare, of education, of care when it comes to system-involved persons. How do we rehabilitate people in our correctional facilities? What are we actually correcting? And so when Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos say more babies, please, they're probably not talking about your babies. And I'm here for it. The more the merrier. But are you going to help feed, house, clothe, educate, and provide health care for them? Because if you're not, sit down, take a whole bunch of seats, and be quiet. Love to hear from you on this and other conversations. 800-920-1580. That's how you get in. We are amplifying Black and progressive voices around the clock. We are KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we celebrate Christmas. We celebrate you. Thank you for turning us on this year. Happy holidays.
Wow! Mommy's kissing Santa Claus!
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now, you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears, thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
Don't miss out on new deals every day at Lowe's. Right now, get can't miss deals on appliances. Get up to 30% off. Plus, save up to an extra $750 on select major appliances. And buy now, pay later with Lowe's Pay to help balance your budget. Because Lowe's knows deals every day. Valid through 12/20. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details. Subject to credit approval.
No young person should ever have to worry about having a safe place to sleep at night, or whether anyone cares about them.
But the reality is, 1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year.
For over 50 years, Covenant House has been helping youth in crisis and giving them the support and tools they need to succeed in life. To learn more, go to covenanthouse.org today. Thank you for caring.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Hey, everything okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Honey. Hey, I'm here for you. Tell me about school today.
When kids can't find the right words, music can help them sound it out. Talk to the kids in your life about their emotional well-being. Find tools and resources at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, thank you very much for waking up with us. We now have word back from Congresswoman Barbara Lee. She will not be joining us this morning. Do with that what you will. But the race continues, and we'll be covering it to the best of our ability, all the way up until March 3rd voting and beyond, actually all the way through to the general election 2024. The Senate race is a heated one and an important one. So we will cover it with the candidates or without the candidates. All right. 800-920-1580 is the number you are invited to call. And I'm going to leave that alone because, that's the best course of action. Hi, Dwight from the city of Compton. Good morning.
Good morning, Dominique, Hotep, and good morning, everyone there at KBLA. And so thankful for you, Tavis, Miles, everyone there for giving us such a great radio station. And hello to the KBLA family out there, and I'm wishing all of you all God's blessings in the coming new year. You are so right, Dominique, about how the Republicans appear to be trying to turn America into the slave states and the free states again. They want more white babies. And they don't want to let immigrants come in. We are a country of immigrants. Matter of fact, Donald Trump's grandfather was an immigrant, and the First Lady, Donald Trump's wife, was an immigrant. And now all of a sudden, they're against certain color immigrants. They're not against immigrants.
Right.
And,
let's not forget the former president's real name is Drumpf. DRMPF.
Yeah.
Drumpf. And they are definitely immigrants. And Melania was an illegal immigrant. I mean, let's keep it real.
Yeah. Melania was an immigrant. The First Lady was an immigrant. They don't mention, they tend to erase your memory on certain things and want you to only remember it's like a government a la carte. You can have this, you can't have that. You could vote, but the black people can't vote. It's sad. And Dominique, tell me, what happened to the HIPAA laws? I thought your medical information was between you and your doctor. Isn't that a federal law? Can you ask, when you have a guest on next time, can you ask them what happened to our HIPAA laws?
Well, I mean, I know that they're still in place, but now if you call 911, I feel like those are made public, right? Because those are dispatchers, not doctors. If you talk to a nurse, it seems like that your privacy protection should kick in. But if you are in the commission of a crime, then medical professionals are allowed to break that privilege. And so I'm assuming, and I will ask a lawyer when we get them on, but I'm assuming that's why this poor woman had her confidentiality breached.
Yeah, I mean, your body illness is not a crime. If you have a miscarriage, that's not a crime. I mean, the Republicans are all up in the women's vaginas and taking voting rights away from black people. I mean, they just trying to overthrow our government, and we saw it live on TV January 6th. I mean, now they're saying some more important top secret documents are missing that Trump possibly has. A whole nother
trove
of Trump information.
I'm laughing because those are the laugh to keep from crying laughs, where you're just like, where does it end, right? Where does it end?
Yeah, I mean. And like you said, Dominique, they're against the child tax credit. They're against feeding poor people. They only want that 3/5 of a man. If you got a lot of white people in your state, then you could have so many Congress people and so many senators, but they don't want you to vote. It's just the same thing they did with the slaves. They just had us. We couldn't vote, but they had slaves to say, oh, we need these many Congress people. We need these many senators because these are the amount of population our state has. Yeah. I mean, this fascist white supremacy racism is so anti-democratic. I mean, you can't even say nothing's equal. You know, you can't even say that, the Republicans are just like the Democrats. No, they're not. We want democracy. They want fascism. So
yeah, and Trump is not. He's not even trying to hide it anymore, Drumpf.
No.
So what you're talking about was that 10-inch thick binder, which is like they said close to 3,000 pages of highly classified material, not mildly classified, highly classified. They're saying some of the most closely guarded secrets of the American government that went missing in the final days of the Trump presidency. And it's related related to the investigation of Russian election interference. Wonder why you would want to make that disappear. But I mean, I feel like we're almost to the point where we could just assume that our whole behind is out in terms of our secrets in a post-Trump world.
Yeah. And every day is something new. I mean, it could be Sunday, it could be Christmas, it could be New Year's. Every day is something new that the Republicans are doing to overthrow our government, Dominique.
Undermine, and profit from.
Yeah. And thank you again, Dominique, for this great radio station giving us so much information. I mean, thank God that we still, because Trump said he's going to try to get rid of some stations, put people in jail. I mean, how can you be for that?
I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like I'm going to be on that list. That's why, I'm glad I know people in Africa in case I have to flee. I'll be broadcasting live from Zimbabwe.
We got you, KBLA back.
Thank you, Dwight. You know, we don't black down. I'm just kidding. But
that's right.
It's good to know.
I love your radio station. Thank you, and everyone there at KBLA. Thank you for. I'm glad Tavis. Now you're all across the United States. Thank God for KBLA. Thank you, Dominique.
Thank you, Dwight, and I appreciate you spreading the word. I know you do. And of course, this is Tavis Smiley's grand experiment, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. I said it the other day, and I said it as almost like a prayer. It's a reminder to myself every single day that holding the mic is a privilege, and I'm very, very grateful for that privilege. I love the opportunity to talk to you every single day, the chance to speak freely without censorship, because if one thing about a Mr. Tavis Smiley, he doesn't black down and he doesn't censor us. We are free to speak our minds on this microphone, and that is just one small example of why ownership of media and distribution is so important. Ownership, not just representation, actual control of the message and the means of distributing that message. We are KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Pope Francis is approving a ruling that will allow same-sex couples to receive blessings under certain conditions. The Vatican announced the landmark decision Monday, saying priests can give the blessings if they are not given as part of a regular church ritual. Instead, blessings can be given during visits to a shrine, a meeting with a priest, or during a pilgrimage. A Confederate memorial currently located at Arlington National Cemetery is being moved. Officials at the cemetery say the statue should be gone by the end of this week, despite opposition by Republican members of Congress and Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin. The statue has been located at the cemetery since 1914 and features images meant to represent the American South during the Civil War era. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Don't miss out on new deals every day during Lowe's 25 Days of Deals. Get a Werner 4-foot fiberglass stepladder. Was $59.98, now $29.98. Because Lowe's knows deals every day. Valid through 12/20 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
At the moment, the Rams are a playoff team in the NFC. They moved into the final wildcard spot with an 8-point win over the Washington Commanders Sunday at SoFi. The Rams are 7-7 with 3 games left. They play New Orleans Thursday night at SoFi, then finish up with road games at the New York Giants and San Francisco. The Lakers and Clippers are back in action tonight. The Lakers are at home against the New York Knicks, 7:30 tip-off. The Clippers are at Indiana. The Clippers' 7-game winning streak is the longest current streak in the NBA. 4 p.m. tip-off in Indianapolis. One of the NBA's more impressive streaks came to an end. Golden State Steph Curry had made a three-pointer in 268 consecutive games until yesterday. Curry went 0 for 8 against Portland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's the gift-giving season, and we have a gift for you. Visit us online at KBLA.store for holiday savings of 20% off all of our KBLA swag. For the best in merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store right now. And be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all our official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580, at 20% off, but only during the holiday season. Happy holidays.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with one of the panelists, the owner of Kids Love. Take a listen.
So Kids Love, KIDSLUV, is a first-to-market zero-sugar, vitamin-enhanced functional beverage for kids.
So the zero sugar is really important because if not, the sugar gets on the teeth, it can cause cavities. So as a mom, I love this vitamins and hydration in one. Tell us what's happening here with Chase Bank today.
So I would say, I think what Chase is trying to do is create a community actually for entrepreneurs, a place where people can go. They have the space to do it. It's a beautiful space. And to be able to have these conversations. There are so many benefits to being a women-owned and certified business, from a standpoint of getting into stores, not paying the slotting fees of what it takes to be in stores. So I think Chase is trying to bring awareness to a lot of the things that people just don't know about, that not only the bank can help, but outside of the bank, their relationships can help create.
That's beautiful. And I know, this is how we build equity in communities of color, is kind of spreading that information and that knowledge. So thank you for being here today and doing your part and letting these women know that it is possible.
For KBLA 1580, I'm Maisha Cairo in the community with Chase.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
I'm so glad we have this time together. I was expecting to be talking to somebody else, but I'm happy to be talking to you. 800-920-1580. That is the number, 800-920-1580. Some little palate refresher for you this morning. Confederate Memorial is coming down from the Arlington National Cemetery, and it will be coming down before Christmas. It is actually in the next few days. It's part of a nationwide push that came out of the 2020 racial reckoning. And lest we become discouraged and think that those days are over and, we're not continuing to make progress, that would not be true. 40 Republicans in Congress demanded that the Pentagon suspend their efforts and keep this monument inside the Arlington Cemetery. It is a statue that includes a mammy-type figure of a black woman, and it is a glorification of the Civil War, the Confederate side of the Civil War. They're saying it's going to be down by December 22nd. Now it has protective fencing around it. But imagine 40 Republicans in Congress wrote a letter demanding that they keep this Confederate racist statue up. I do not understand for the life of me why y'all, and by y'all I mean black Republicans, cannot see that this party is a party of white supremacy. They have time to do that. We've got a situation in the Middle East, a situation in the Ukraine, a situation with the unhoused on our streets, which apparently, according to Fox this morning, is the worst it's ever been in U.S. history. The number of unhoused people. Think about that. During the Great Depression, when people were, when the word bum became a thing, when people were traveling on trains and living anywhere they could because of the economic fallout, right, from the market crash. Nope, it's worse than then. But you've got time to write a letter demanding that the state of Virginia keep what is basically a monument to white supremacy. It is something that even the Republican governor there disagrees with, and he's going to move it somewhere else. He's going to move it to a state historical park called the Newmarket Battlefield State Historical Park, where he can preserve this monument to white supremacy. I love that, though, that they're moving forward anyway. It is something that was unveiled back in 1914. It's a bronze woman crowned with olive leaves standing on a 32-foot pedestal, and she is supposed to represent the American South. And it says, it has an inscription at her feet that says they beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. But it also has a mammy holding what is meant to be the child of a white officer and an enslaved man following his owner into war. But 40 members of Congress felt important to sign a letter. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin was the target of that letter, which he chose to ignore. The Department of Defense is moving forward with taking that down. Meanwhile, Secretary Austin is in the Middle East today. It's amazing to me, though. How do you justify that? It's like it's bald-faced support of white supremacy. But the military at this point is methodically removing these statues and renaming bases and such that have the remnants of the losing side of the Civil War. The losing side of the Civil War does not get to have monuments. That is not how war works. And yet, in this country, we have honored the Confederate flag. We have continued to honor these folks who were traitors to our country. We might as well just put up some monuments to the January 6th coup participants. We already know that if he who shall not be named is reelected, he will pardon those folks. We already know that, the Supreme Court may give them a pass, give some of them a pass. But, I mean, that's really what it is the equivalent of. You tried to overthrow our government. You tried to divide our country so that you could profit off owning black people like livestock. But you get to have a monument still. Monuments to traitors. Yeah, maybe our former president, he who shall not be named, should have a giant monument. Because certainly his actions in connection with January 6th are traitorous. And I think the best is yet to come, and best has air quotes around it, if he is reelected. The Pentagon moving forward with its plan, though. North Carolina, for example, remember Fort Bragg is no longer Fort Bragg because it was named after a Confederate general, Braxton Bragg. He was known for owning slaves and losing battles in the Civil War. You're known for owning slaves and losing battles, and you got a whole military base named after him. It's now been renamed Fort Liberty. So, little good news for your morning. I think it's good news because I believe that there are many movements, policies, projects that were set in motion, that have been set in motion through our activism in 2020 and all of the many decades of activism leading up to that are still going. They're just not getting the love in the press. They're not being tracked the way you're used to them being tracked. So you don't know about them. But trust me, we made progress and we are still pushing the line. Let's go to Morris calling us from Inglewood. Jumbo, hola, buenos dias. Hotep, what's up?
Inglewood! Hey, check this out. I think we should allow the Confederate statues to go and stay up. And then we're going to put up our statues, let's say of Nat Turner. Okay? We're going to put up some Nat Turner statues. And also, Dominic, let me ask you this on my way out. In terms of World War III, do you think a spark for World War III will come out of Ukraine, or will it come out of what I call Palestine, what other people call Israel? And I'll take your comments off the air, Aaron. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. I don't know the answer to that. I hope the spark for World War III doesn't come at all. But we certainly have two tinderboxes there because we can already see the war, the campaign, the Israeli campaign. I hesitate to call it a war because you don't have two sovereign nations fighting each other. But whatever you call it, you see Lebanon being drawn in more. You see the anger spreading to other Arab nations, even allies of the United States, as the killing continues, as we see a strike at a maternity ward this weekend, more and more of the infrastructure, if you want to call it that, the homes, the buildings, flattened into rubble. We're close to 20,000 dead, and I think now the killing of those hostages, even if it was accidental on the part of Israel, has really underlined how much the killing of civilians is indiscriminate at this point. So you've got that, and you've got Iran and all of these other, Jordan and Saudis, all of these others that have their own levels of interconnectedness there. Tinderbox. Ukraine, you got Russia, you got the potential for them to try to expand Russia, their campaign beyond Ukraine to surrounding areas, and the precariousness of the NATO alliance there, and the fact that it could set off a domino effect, that it's bringing Russia and China together, that it seems to be pushing some African nations closer to Russia and China because they rely on Ukraine for grain, number one. Number two, I think they're probably tired of the United States trying to dictate their policies, and not just the United States, the entire Western bloc of nations. And they're like, we're going our way on this. Yeah. I have to agree with Dr. Gerald Horne on this. I think we have two potential World War IIIs happening simultaneously right now. And then you got, people talking about a civil war in this country, which I think is less likely. But it's a civil Cold War already, for sure. And one wonders, there's a movie coming out, Civil War. Sometimes you got to hate Hollywood. Why would you do that right now? We don't need that movie right now. It's probably terrible, and I doubt it will incite a war, but really, why? Why put that out there in the atmosphere when we already have a civil war on social media that is raging? And what we need more of is education, elevation, and some kind of unity. It doesn't have to be holding hands and kumbaya. We don't have to agree on everything, but we have to be able to at least get to the point where we can listen to each other, hear each other, and accept when we win and when we lose. Accept meaning regroup and try to win next time, but not the Donald Trump tell a big lie and try to divide the country based on the fact that you refuse to accept the facts. Facts matter. We are KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Today, young adults face big questions about their future. How will you make your mark? Do you want to be part of something bigger than yourself? Are you ready to learn new skills and make new friendships? Perhaps you have a dream that you're ready to make real. So, how will you make a mark with your future? As you embark on a journey toward finding these answers, the military can serve as a resource for providing help, information, and opportunities. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit today'smilitary.com.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose AmeriCorps.
Every child deserves the best teachers, facilities, and academic programs to set them up for success. At Milton Hershey School in Hershey, Pennsylvania, we make that a reality for children from qualifying families who are looking for greater opportunities. Milton Hershey School enrolls students from pre-K through 12th grade from across the United States to live and learn on a beautiful state-of-the-art campus with all costs covered. Are you looking to set your child up for success or know a child who could benefit from Milton Hershey School? Learn more at mhskids.org/admissions.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Be heard. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
And speaking of the Senate race, the top three candidates in that race, Adam Schiff. This is, of course, the seat that was occupied since 1992 by Dianne Feinstein. Completely open. LaFonza Butler is not running for re-election. There will be a completely open seat. But Adam Schiff has a clear advantage in fundraising. He started out with $32 million in the bank in campaign funds, and we'll see. I'm sure he's raised more since then. That's more than all of the other people in the race combined. Katie Porter had $12 million in the bank, and Barbara Lee $1.3 million. So facing an uphill battle there. But there's a lot of time left, and I just, I like I said, we'll be tracking that because it is crucial for California. A group of inmates, formerly incarcerated as well as currently incarcerated people in Alabama, filing a lawsuit. They are challenging Alabama's prison labor program because they're calling it modern-day slavery. This is not a new concept. It was a subject of a law that failed to pass in California last year. The fact that many people who work in prison under the 13th Amendment, they can work without pay or with very little pay, and that work can benefit the government, but it can also benefit private companies like Victoria's Secret that use prison labor to get workers for 15 cents an hour, a couple bucks a day. And we have looked at this extensively on this show because of that then Senator Sidney Kamlager's bill where she was trying to outlaw basically slavery in prison inside of California. The It didn't pass, and the argument was that it's too expensive to pay people minimum wage for their work. But it's the law. Anyway, I spoke to a formerly incarcerated person on the show, was talking about how many times those prisoners are expected to pay restitution to their victims, and yet so that's coming out of that pay at 15 cents an hour. And then they have whatever fees and other things they have to pay. And many times they can end up even in the hole, even though they've been working full-time or part-time throughout their prison sentence, something that's very unjust. Well, this is a class action suit. It's claiming that the state is participating in modern-day slave labor. It's claiming that they have a discriminatory parole system that keeps more Black and brown prisoners incarcerated so that they can be forced to do labor. And they say it's an incarnation of something called convict leasing, which was done really right after the Civil War. So they're suing the Department of Corrections and the Alabama Attorney General's office. This will be something to watch. Very, very interesting, and something that could be duplicated, certainly in other states with huge prison populations that provide lots of free labor like California, or low-cost labor. One thing that I did not realize is that many of these fast food companies are using these Alabama prison laborers to get free or cheap labor. Not only are they paying them hardly anything, they're keeping 40% of their gross pay to cover the cost of their incarceration. And then they take out money for transportation, for laundry. And anyone who's had a loved one incarcerated knows that if they're buying anything from the prison commissary, which is the only place they can't take a quick trip to Kroger's, like they're in jail, they're in prison. Those prices are so jacked up in the prison commissary. You're $20 for deodorant, $5 for a cup of noodles, that kind of thing. So on the one hand, they're paying them 15 cents an hour or several dollars a day. On the other hand, they're charging them for laundry, for transportation, and price gouging them inside the prison commissaries. And this is predatory price gouging, predatory forced labor. And I'm so I'm encouraged that these formerly incarcerated and incarcerated folks in Alabama are standing up with this class action lawsuit. The implications for what it could mean and how it could play out nationwide are really quite impressive. Tracking that and some other stories. Not too late to call me, 800-920-1580. We are KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you a Christmas season that is merry and bright. Happy holidays.
Santa baby, just slip a sable under the tree for me.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with Kate Luzio, former banking executive and now owner of Luminary, who partnered with Chase for this tour. She makes it her business to build community for business owners.
Yeah, so I was a banker for 20 years before I decided to become an entrepreneur. 7 of those years were actually at JP Morgan Chase. One of the biggest things that I had going into my entrepreneurial journey was a big background in banking.
So what advice are you giving business owners looking for financial backing today?
So Chase brings in so much knowledge and the opportunity to understand what financial tools are out there for business owners to build, grow, and scale their business. A lot of business owners will say, well, I need to get a loan immediately. Well, you wouldn't just lend money to your friend if you didn't know why they needed it. I tell every business owner, you need a business plan, you need financial projections, you need a banker. Because you have to start building a relationship with a banker so that they get comfortable with how you're going to build that business and so that they can eventually support you in different ways.
Makes sense. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Huge shout out to the National Black Nurses Association. They have moved their convention away from Florida. They're going to do it in San Francisco. They said the anti-Black policies and laws, which have taken a destructive position to erase and silence Black history and restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in Florida schools, along with the NAACP travel ban and recent senseless, racially motivated, hate-fueled murders of 3 innocent Black Americans in Jacksonville, Florida, has created a hostile, dangerous environment. They are pulling out of there. They took a survey among the nurses, the members of that association. 84% said, we out. They swallowed $592,000 in fees. And they said, nope, we are not giving that money to you. We are going to San Francisco, going back to Cali. So big shout out to them. And again, I just want to remind us, good things are happening. Progress is happening every day. Just because it's not the lead story on CNN doesn't mean it is not happening. Okay? Okay. Hit me up on social media, KBLA 1580 on every platform. I'm at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got an amazing best of for you on deck today. My quote, I'm going to Ibram X. Kendi. He says, there is no neutrality in the racism struggle. The opposite of racist isn't not racist. It is anti-racist. I'm Dominique DiPrima. History's now, and we are making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Pope Francis is approving a ruling that will allow same-sex couples to receive blessings under certain conditions. The Vatican announced the landmark decision Monday, saying priests can give the blessings if they are not given as part of a regular church ritual. Instead, blessings can be given during visits to a shrine, a meeting with a priest, or during a pilgrimage. A Confederate memorial currently located at Arlington National Cemetery is being moved. Officials at the cemetery say the statue should be gone by the end of this week, despite opposition by Republican members of Congress and Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin. The statue has been located at the cemetery since 1914 and features images meant to represent the American South during the Civil War era. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source.